Welcome, Virgo, to your Virgo March 2021 reading and forecast. This month we're going to use the Tarot. Although, as you subscribers know, love and affection to you in particular, that very often astrology comes into the reading, as well as mysticism, numerology, and sometimes a little magic. Well, it's been my great pleasure to do readings for Virgo men and women recently, and if you would like to have a personal one-on-one clairvoyant reading with me, I do use a little bit of tarot, but it's clairvoyant and a number of other methods, then just check out the information that's in the description box below, and you can see how easy it is for that to happen from wherever you may be living in the world. But now we're going to see what is in store for you for this month of March 2021 for Virgo. Let's see what there is here. 5 cards, that's all we need. The King of Cups. Now, this imagery is particularly beautiful. There's the Popess. And I might point out some of the interesting, you're going to find the imagery fascinating on it. The Page of Wands. Gee, it's all people here so far. That's because you're so popular. And what else is there here? The 4 of Coins. And here is the 4 of Cups. Fantastic. Why don't you come and sit down next to me, have a look at the beautiful original paintings on these cards while I do the reading for you. Next month's reading will be published on Wednesday the 10th of March at, what would we say, 2 p.m. US Eastern Time. Okay, let's have a look at this. The King of Cups, the Lord of the waves and waters, King of the hosts of the sea. Let's have a look at the imagery and see what it might tell us, eh? Let's see what there is. Well, isn't this an interesting picture that's here? Well, the king, dressed in red and yellow, sits on a papal throne. He has the features of Pope Leo X, I think, from artwork that I have seen in the past. And he was that great pope of the Renaissance period. Now, you recall that this is a sort of a medieval Renaissance deck, and in Western Europe, the pope was the big man in town at that time, which is why I suppose he's represented here as being the king. He wears red and green, what do you call that stuff? Hose, I suppose you would refer to it as. And there's little hearts for the garters on the things there. And his hands, well, they're clad in pink gloves. In his right hand, he holds a large cup, which is shaped like the papal tiara, isn't it? Very often in the ancient days, you'd see that big hat on the Pope's head. And in his left hand, he clasps the blonde hair of an angel who holds a Chinese sunshade above the Pope here, above the king. Yeah. And that shelters the king. Well, the angel, he's like an altar boy, and he wears a pale blue robe covered in white. And that's embroidered with seashells, as you can see on the thing there. Now, under the king's feet are renderings, really. These paintings, they're different renderings, I think, of the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci. In the background is the dome of St. Peter's Cathedral in Rome, okay? And on the right here, there is the bust of the Venus de Milo. Yeah, a lot of Pisces around here, a lot of Aquarius around here. I think that this is talking about surrender to loved ones, the capacity for giving for you, reaching higher emotional planes, possibly even spiritual development as well. That Aquarius aspect that I get there, I think that this is going to make you independent, hard to pin down, but you'll have a humanitarian outlook, I think. And Pisces, well, I think that will give you sensitivity and a dream-like nature sort of thing going on here. Now, this is a man, just looking at the man in the picture here, I think that this references a man, I think, with commitment issues, somebody who is amiable but passive, someone who is very attracted to excitement and can hold an unsustainable enthusiasm, someone who is sensitive, but deep down, they're actually someone who's really quite shallow. This is someone who, and these court cards, of course, can refer to either gender, irrespective of how they're drawn, but this is someone, I think, who tends to mismanage their affairs, and without luck, their career can be an unbroken record of failure. And often the mental civil wars going on within them can lead to substance abuse. But nevertheless, for you, I think that what this heralds, and in the position that it's in, this talks about a time of inner contentment and great happiness for you, and that radiates outward to enrich those around you, either emotionally or spiritually. Now, it's possible that you may feel uncertain of yourself and feel that you can't get what you want, totally what you want in love and relationships at this time, and you may have a feeling of self-doubt. Now, in that case, it's important to go and get reassurance from others, because you can get what you want from things here. Now, this person here is, I think this king is, if it's another person, someone who at best is loving and generous, supportive and tender, someone who can be capable of quite high spiritual achievement, interestingly. And that's probably not, well, I'm getting that from this figure of the Pope here. But they're not in your life for very long. And I've got to say this, and the lesbian and gay communities, please make the necessary adjustment here. But this is somebody who is very attracted to the opposite sex, and the opposite sex likes them. This person, though, can be very charming, but not very deep. Someone who's very much ruled by emotions and maybe not necessarily all that practical. And I have to tell you that there's someone who will try to flatter you rather than try and pick up their share of the expenses. They're often intensely insecure, needing reassurances. And at worst, they're unfaithful, fickle, shallow, highly emotional and unreliable. So there may be somebody like this in your life here. I think, though, that you yearn for intensive interchange with those of like mind and like outlook. How can the interchange in your relationships be enriched? Seek out your true family, the community in which you feel at home. There, you'll find the quality of communication that you long for, and say to yourself, I am now finding the right contact that I now need. Well, let's have a look at the priestess of the silver star, called here the Popess. Oh, pretty attractive looking Popess in my book. Oh, I'm probably too old to be concerned with things like that. Oh well, maybe when they nail the coffin lid shut. Let's have a look. The Popess here, well, let me see. The slender, young Popess gazes from her throne with a serenity and wisdom. Her robes are dark blue, symbolizing feminine intuition. And a crescent moon, as you can see there, well, that covers her tiara. In her right hand is the Book of Life. See that there? And that has it's inscribed with the Kabbalistic tree of life on its cover. And in her left hand, she holds a gold key and a silver key. Now, at her left, let's have a look here. Well, before I do that, there's a Maltese cross with the child's head, which is sticking in the middle of it. That looks quite interesting to me. And I think that refers to the legend of Pope Joan, the female pope. Now, behind her shoulders is a veil supported by the sun on the left and the moon on the right. Might be a bit difficult to get a look at there. Now, the archer's columns, now to her left, is supported by a black sphinx, right, down here. And what else is there? Well, that symbolizes, I think, the feminine side of life. And it also incorporates a mermaid up here that is being offered an apple by a demonic serpent. The fiery column to her right and on your left, well, that's masculine. And in it are little flames, water drops, a salamander, and a bat. And the Popess's foot rests on a grass green cushion, as you can see there, and the checkered floor gives way to life and nature. Now, with the appearance of this moon at the top of her head here, I think that this represents cycles going through the flow of life. And it's a crescent moon, which goes to show how things can change. It also talks about the subconscious, I think. The moon is really in the highest point of the card here, and it is joining the divine to human. Now, she is, I suppose, like the Queen of Cups, but she's more spiritually advanced. Now, what this is talking about here is access to your intuitive powers, healing, independence, a sense of inner balance, and definitely increased self-confidence, and discovering your own truth, and a great deal of emotional stability. Thank God, you say. Now, in this position here, it can also represent the development or the forming of or getting great pleasure from a platonic relationship. There is something of a period of alone time, I think, where you work out what you really want and you let your mind process things. But you understand, don't you, that changes on the inside are necessary to make changes on the outside? There's a need to connect and be more confident with your intuitive feminine side. Now, men, don't be alarmed when I say that, because we all have a feminine principle within us. It's just that the masculine predominates. And of course, the reverse can be said for women. They have a masculine side to them. It's just that the female side predominates. You now have access to your intuitive powers. Develop them more fully and guard your independence. Are there any areas in your life in which you allow others to influence you rather than trusting your own intuition? Seek out water as often as you can here, because the moon has a great effect on tides and water. So I think that being near water will be good for you at this time. Meditate near it if you're in it, or just watch it and learn from it as much as you can. And say to yourself, I trust my intuitive abilities. I deeply honor and value the human being that I am. I am intuitive and perceptive. I trust myself and honor my sense of integrity. Well, I'm going to look now at the Lord of Blended Pleasure, otherwise known as the Four of Cups. What can we get from the imagery that's on here that we might be able to talk about? Well, again, another fascinating thing, because we have here, if we look at this, what do you think that might be? I think that's a mermaid. And I think that is a mermaid weeping on the back of an old sea serpent whose color suggests the fully grown cicada. But then there is a youth. See this thing here? Or a young person holding a ribbon of gold joyfully behind her on a serpent, the color of a newly emerged cicada. And this is talking about new things coming into life. Now, the top left of the here we go here. I'm just looking at this top left cup. Let me just see it. Oh, that's very interesting. The top left cup here, well, that is a woman who has been frightened by a spider and a snake by the look of it. Yeah. And a mouse. They are symbols of the primitive and instinctive part of the psyche that is usually repressed. Now the other cups show blindfolded Eros, that's here. Now Eros with his bow. Over here is Silenus. Silenus was the perpetually drunken son of the Greek god Pan. And here there is a dying man in the desert, crawling with his last strength towards a mirage. Now for me, this is the moon in the third decan of Cancer, the 12th to the 22nd of July. Now this is good because moon rules Cancer. But in some respects, it's kind of like the only really great strength of this card. The underlying message here is that you want to be emotionally fulfilled in a deep way, but maybe you're going about it the wrong way with respect to somebody. The moon is associated with the principle of flux and change, and your own emotional states may tend, even though she's bringing you great emotional, and he's bringing you emotional stability here, your emotional states could just lap at the shore, if you like, of wanting to change. That's here. I think this is also talking about you not just settling for what you have, but rather appreciating what you do have. And don't want what you can't have unless you have a clear step-by-step plan to get it. And it's also about accepting things as they are in a way, getting joy from things as they are. Perhaps there may be a time here where there's some degree of boredom or dissatisfaction in your life. Maybe you're too familiar with your environment. It's almost as if you lack motivation and you need to set new goals. The other thing I have to say is that there is a possibility here that you look for material things to bring you happiness, where you seek a temporary pleasure as an escape from the feelings of discontentment. And it really is reminding you to realize what you do have and to appreciate it, because many others are much worse off than you have. Do you know, you are being given much love and devotion. Enjoy it without becoming dependent on it. Are you in any relationship in which you feel restricted? Are you expressively devoted to someone? And then say to yourself, if there is someone else that you want to be with, say, I enjoy being together with, put the name in, full of thankfulness and joy. Well, let's have a look at the center card, which is here, the Page of Wands. The imagery around it. Here is a man of color holding a wand or pressing a wand into the cinders, black cinders that are down here. Now he has the solar colors about him. There's a lion skin draped over his shoulder. See the lion's head there, and the tail then trails into this line of this area of cinders here. This looks to me like someone who has just recently been set free, because here is a shackle around his ankle. There is an orchid growing from the club on the side here, and a flower from his head. And in the background here, there is beautiful, lush, verdant, fruitful jungle being threatened by a fire. Now, as I've said, these court cards can be of either gender, and I'm getting a lot of feminine energy around here. I'm calling her the page of the shining flame, the rose of the palace of fire. The people important to you around this time are Leo, Cancer, and there's a lot of Virgo in this as well. There's a lot of you in here. Now this is a person who will at this time be really, really extensive in passion of whatever kind, and entirely reckless of the means of obtaining gratification of their appetites, and actually quite insatiable in a way here. The character of this person is extremely individual. She creates her own beauty and her essential vigor and energy. She bedazzles, and you will bedazzle during this period. Now, in anger or in love, she is sudden, violent, and implacable. She's ambitious and sometimes irrationally enthusiastic about people or projects, but she never forgets an injury, and the only patience to be found in her is the patience with which she lies in ambush, waiting to get her revenge. I think you'll be energetic, individualistic, brilliant and daring, enthusiastic about things, and very expressive in love. Good luck for the other side of that equation. You will also be freed from fear. It's as if there is a new beginning coming up here, an optimism for you and increased perception of the realities around you. Your old fears have lost their power over you. Their dead remains and corpse cannot frighten you any longer. Reflect now on your greatest strengths. You know, people are going to love your character and energy, and you might fasten your seatbelt because other people are going to find you very attractive. Now, do with that what you will. But there is a dark side here as well, where you may be vengeful, temperamental, unruly, well, possibly even cruel. Now, I don't make any moral judgments here. This energy is really one of you conquering old fears and patterns of thought. You've brought them to the surface and conquered them. Although I have to say, you often learn lessons the hard way, don't you? Well, what is the next step in your life? Go out and find it fearlessly. Learn about ways of transforming fearful feelings. Get involved, maybe, as an example, in dance or meditation. Find your greatest strength and say, my greatest strength is that thing, and I accept my fear. Because as I accept my fear, it is transformed into love. Now let's go and turn finally to the Lord of Earthly Power. Let's have a look here. Hello, Lord of Earthly Power, or Lady of Earthly Power in your case, isn't it? Well, there's a nun, a Catholic nun, smiling as she unwraps a secret gift. On the left, there is a glass vase which exhales a precious essence, and on her right is a closed flower. I don't know what type of flower that is, but I do know that it's closed by the look of it there. Now, the roots of the coins all spiral, don't they? Now, in the top coins are the chariot of the moon, right? And then there is a swan swimming in the moonlight, a cat sitting in a cage. Oh, poor old cat. The cat lovers won't be happy to hear that. And here is the boundaries of a castle that's there. So this is talking about power. And the reason why I'm getting such a feeling of power around it is because I'm getting the sun in the third decan of Capricorn. Yeah, 13th to the 21st of January. Well, Capricorn is a feet on the ground, eye on the prize sign. Those with the sun in Capricorn have a realistic, grounded approach to life, don't they? And that can be seen no matter how difficult the rest of their birth chart happens to be. But I think what happens here is that the sun energizes the Capricorn earth, your sister sign, and material benefits or power are the result. Now, the sun in astrology is the symbol of your dynamism or power, and Capricorn is the application of that power in a useful way. There is a sense for me that this is a very material card here. I think there is perhaps a need for you to, well, character and integrity are going to be very well developed within you at this time. Life is going to be orderly and secure, but it might seem to you sometimes to be a little bit barren and discontented. This is just a momentary thing that you get here. This castle, for example, that can be your sanctuary where you find your inner voice, or it can be materialistic and something to show off to others. Now, you may be tested at this time not to give away your personal power, and you may need to discriminate about where and to whom you say no. Sometimes you might need to pull up the drawbridge, I think, and stay within your inner sanctuary so you don't give away too much of yourself. But it's speaking very much to me of financial and material and security being important to you during this period, and you have solid foundations for that. Now, I think that slowly but surely assets, wealth is going to start to build up. You will find in 12 months' time that you're better off than you are today, because you are willing to work for what you want, and you'll have confidence in applying yourself to the world. You'll be a dependable person who acts with integrity, and there is here the promise of the fulfillment of your personal goals and dreams. The meaning of the card can depend very much on who's looking at it. The card can be a warning indicating the need to become more established in your character or integrity, or it could be a challenge to submit your rules and to submit your rules and principles of life and the impulses of the heart, submit to them. Is your life, your behavior like a rigid fort, or are you swimming like the swan in the moonlight? Does your life, your behavior need more order, structure, or solidity? Say to yourself, because this is a time when you will have great personal power. I offer my power in the service of love. Great job. Well done, Virgo. That's the way it is for you this month. Well, that was fantastic. I really enjoyed doing that. What a fascinating reading, and what a great month it looks like it's going to be for you. Now, please do me a favor, press the like button. It's good for the YouTube thing, and it's good for the channel. I appreciate it. And look, there's one thing I want you to remember until I see you next month, and it is this, and remember it always, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.